Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk to you guys about something that's going to be a little controversial, but it's going to be interesting nonetheless. And I'm also going to link an article written by Chris Duffin down below because he and I agree on this. And if you don't know who Chris Duffin is, he is a top-level power lifter who also does a bit of writing on the internet. He's a rather interesting guy. You should check him out. And I think it's interesting that Chris pointed out in the article, just as a side note, about competitive shooters using alcohol because of the effect it has on the calming effect, lowering heart rate, improving focus. Because I did competitive shooting for many years as a teenager. And I used to do 1,000-yard tournaments as a teenager because my grandfather got me into that because he was on the National Navy shooting team after he retired from being a naval officer after World War II. And so he got me into the competitive aspect of shooting, and that is true. You would see guys, if they were allowed to in competition, taking a shot of whiskey before they would compete between different rounds every now and then. Not enough to get drunk or get a buzz, but just enough to calm their nerves, bring their resting heart rate down, lower anxiety. Which goes over to the point of one of the reasons it is considered to be a PED. And yes, it is considered to be a PED by the Olympic Committee, by WADA. It is tested for if your alcohol levels, if you've taken a shot or two of whiskey or something before competition, you will fail your drug tests. And there's a number of reasons for this. You have those psychological reasons of it boosts your confidence. Psychology is a tremendous element to training. And that's something you have to remember, whether it's training or actual performance, being able to keep your nerves, keep your calm, be confident. A little bit of alcohol, not enough to get drunk because that can make people have a lot of other issues, but just having enough in your system to boost your confidence can give you a psychological edge. It can help you train harder, more effectively, not miss lifts, and improve your general performance. And from a training perspective, there's also the fact to consider is that it does calm you. It brings your state of arousal down, and that's something I try to point out to a lot of people that's very important for people who do very high frequency training, who train often, is to not get overly psyched up, to keep your calm, to keep your cool, because there is a limited body of data out there, and you'll find people like Matt Perryman who agree with that, who will tell you that overtraining and even the negative effects of overreaching are largely there as a result of how psyched up you get and how aroused you get during your training, cumulative over time, not the actual workload and the fatigue that you subject yourself to. That it's actually the psychological components and the hormonal components associated with the psychology that cause overtraining, not the actual stress on your muscles and connective tissue. So alcohol is useful there, and there are a lot of elite strength athletes who do use alcohol as a pre-workout. So you've got all those psychological components to consider, and then there's the energy perspective, and this is one of the reasons alcohol has been used historically for centuries by endurance athletes, cyclists, marathon runners, things like that, and it's fallen out of the mainstream because people don't seem to be aware of it anymore because it's now tested for. But yeah, the caloric density of it makes alcohol itself a superior pre-workout and intra-workout fuel source because it has a much higher caloric density than carbohydrates. Your body will burn ethanol as a preferred fuel source and spare glucose when it has it available, and it's far more readily absorbed than fat. So it is the equivalent of a fast-burning, fast-absorbing fat source in a lot of ways because it has the same caloric density of fat, but it's a preferential fuel source that you can absorb very, very quickly. So in terms of training endurance and stamina, alcohol actually works quite well. And this just isn't something I've ever seen anyone else bring up on YouTube, even though there's a long history in the sports world behind it. In a wide variety of sports, it's been used by champions for centuries, if not millennia. But you don't see anyone talk about it. So I thought it'd be interesting to bring it up just to see what people think and to create some interesting conversation. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time. But let me give you guys a bicep shot before I go. Oh, Mount Bicepius.